Nnamdi went against his mother's wishes and married the love of his life, Bisi. Bisi is very good-looking, intelligent, and well-mannered. The one reason Mrs. Azuka doesn't like her is that she wasn't from their tribe. So she brought a wife named Oluchi for her son to marry, but he refused. Bisi also had to convince her parents before their wedding took place. Nnamdi and Bisi are living together in peace. They are content with what they have. Nnamdi is an engineer and Bisi is a banker. Nnamdi has always prayed, hoped, and applied to various big engineering organizations. He was satisfied with his current job but was looking for a better one with better pay. One evening, after having dinner with his wife, he decided to check his mailbox. To his greatest surprise, he got a job offer. The new job was willing to pay him above his initial offer. He was so excited and quickly communicated it to his wife, Bisi, who was also very excited. But there was a condition. He had to travel out for a 3-month course. He asked Bisi if she was okay with it, and Bisi responded, "I'm okay with it." Nnamdi then suggested that she stay with his mother since their rent would be expiring soon, and this new job came with accommodation. Bisi wanted to decline, but she thought to herself, "It's just 3 months. This will be a perfect opportunity to get to know my mother-in-law." The next day, Nnamdi accepted the job, and an offer letter was sent to him with his start date. Nnamdi and Bisi moved to his parents' place to stay. While there, Bisi always made food early in the morning before going to her place of work. She left the house as early as 7 a.m. to get to work on time, as her mother-in-law's house was a bit far from her workplace. Meanwhile, Nnamdi stayed back, preparing all the necessary documents needed for him to resume his new job. Mrs. Azuka didn't like Bisi in any way. She always looked for a reason to complain about something she did. One morning, while Bisi was about to leave for work, Mrs. Azuka quickly asked, "Won't you wait for everyone to wake up so that we can say our morning devotion? Is that how you behave in my son's house? Don't tell me you don't pray in the morning before leaving for work. How do you intend to start your day?" Bisi responded, "We wake up very early to say our devotion." Mrs. Azuka, with a loud voice, said, "So you're implying that my family wakes up late? Waking up at 7 a.m. isn't late," she continued. "Moreover, banks start by 8 a.m. Why leave so early?" Nnamdi quickly came out of the room. "Mama, it's okay. It's too early for all this tantrum. You know her office is far from here. She can pray when she gets to work. Bisi dear, please, you can go to work." He immediately hugged her, and Bisi left for work. After Bisi had gone, he turned to his mother and said, "Mama, please don't always pick on my wife. I am sorry for what happened today. Can we go in and pray?" Mrs. Azuka looked at him in disgust. "I don't blame you. I blame myself for allowing you to bring her into my house. Please leave me alone," she said angrily. That evening, when Bisi returned, she went to greet Mrs. Azuka. "Mama, good evening, Ma," she said. Mrs. Azuka quickly responded, "What is good about the evening? Please keep your greetings to yourself." Bisi quickly said, "Mama, I'm sorry about this morning. Forgive me." Mrs. Azuka then responded, "So you know what you did wasn't right?" "Yes, Ma. I'm sorry, Ma," Bisi replied. "No problem. If you know you will be leaving the house early, inform us so we don't look for you when we wake up." "Okay, Ma. I will do that." Mrs. Azuka thought to herself, "Don't worry. When my son leaves for work, I will trim those tiny wings you think you have." When Bisi entered the room, she greeted her husband Nnamdi, who asked how work was. Bisi said work was fine. Bisi then said, "You will be leaving in 2 days, right? I think I should go away. My place is closer to my office, and I don't want your mother to always feel I am disrespecting her in her home." Unknown to Bisi, Mrs. Azuka was eavesdropping from the window. She then said to herself, "Let me see how you will leave this house. You must stay with me. Since Nnamdi didn't marry Oluchi, I will make sure you remain here with me. Like the traditions of the land state, you won't bypass it again. You must stay." That evening, Bisi entered the kitchen to make food. When she entered, Mrs. Azuka was already cooking. Bisi quickly said, "Mama, let me help you pound." Mrs. Azuka quickly said, "No, before you came, I was doing it myself. When you leave, I will continue." Bisi didn't know what to say. She just sat there, looking at her. waiting for her to ask for help, but Mrs. Azuka didn't utter a word. She finished making pounded yam and white soup, served it herself, and the family all ate and went to bed. The next morning, when Bisi was done preparing for work, she was hoping to greet her mother-in-law. She didn't come out of her room. She quickly told Nnamdi, her husband, to please help inform his mother she had left for work. Mrs. Azuka refused to come out of her room. When Nnamdi went to see what was wrong with her, the moment she heard footsteps, she started crying. "My back, oh my back is paining me." Nnamdi was shocked. "Mama, when did it start? Should I take you to the hospital?" Mrs. Azuka said, "No, I just need to rest. You can get someone to help massage it for me." Nnamdi called the family doctor, who came to examine her but didn't find anything wrong. Mrs. Azuka quickly told him, "When you get out, tell my son I need to rest for a month. The backache is due to old age and constantly carrying heavy things." The doctor accepted and told Nnamdi exactly what Mrs. Azuka said. That evening, when Bisi returned from work, Nnamdi told her, "Please, my wife, you have to stay with my mother. She has been having back pain. She couldn't get up from her bed today. I had to call the family doctor, who prescribed medication for her. Please, I beg of you. It's just for a while, please." Bisi accepted. Nnamdi packed his bags and went to bed. He was to leave the next day. That morning, Bisi woke up early. She made food for her mother-in-law, boiled water, packaged everything, put it in a cooler and took it to her room. She prepared and left with Nnamdi. At work, Bisi was lost in thought. She genuinely didn't want to return to Nnamdi's family house, but since she accepted to help, she had to. The moment she got home, she went to greet Mrs. Azuka. "Mama, good evening, Ma." "Good evening, Bisi. Please, can you help me to the restroom? My friend had to come while you were at work. Please, my dear, help me to the toilet. I need to urinate." After easing to her to use the restroom, she turned and said, "My dear, that basket at your back contains my laundry. Please wash them tonight. I don't have anything to wear at home." Bisi said, "No problem." She took the clothes with her, quickly fixed her dinner, and went to wash the clothes. There were so many clothes that she finished washing them by 1 a.m. When she was done, she was too tired to eat. She just went straight to bed. The next day, she woke up early, prepared everything her mother-in-law needed, took it to her room, and went straight to work. While she was at work, Mrs. Azuka got up, moved around the house, did everything she needed to do, and even played games with her friend who came to visit her. The moment Bisi returned, Mrs. Azuka laid down on the bed, pretending to be in severe pain. Bisi made beans and served her. She quickly called Bisi back. "Bisi dear, why is the oil floating on top of the beans? I can't eat it. It's not good for my health. Can you make plantain porridge?" Bisi said, "Okay, Mama." She took her oil-floating beans back to the kitchen and started cooking plantain porridge. She made sure to put only a little drop of oil to avoid any complaints. When she was done making it, Mrs. Azuka looked at her and said, "Sorry, my dear, it's past 9. I can't eat this. My doctor advised I eat on or before 8 p.m. I will just take tea and go to bed." Unknown to Bisi, Mrs. Azuka had already eaten before she came back from work. That night, she called Bisi 5 times to take her to the toilet. Bisi wasn't happy with it in any way. This was disturbing her. However, so how would she function at work the next day? But she closed her eyes and did it for her because of Nnamdi. This act continued. Bisi was always doing something that kept her awake all through the night. Sometimes, Mrs. Azuka would call her to massage her back, saying she couldn't sleep. "My friend couldn't massage it well. Please, my dear, massage it. I know I'm disturbing you, but after the massage, I won't call you again. I will manage till morning," Mrs. Azuka would say. Bisi started going to work late, since she couldn't sleep on time at night. Thank you for watching my stories. To my returning subscribers, thanks a lot. I really appreciate. If you're new on this channel, welcome to the family. On this channel, we tell beautiful African tales. So, always grab your popcorn when you get a notification from us. Also, please don't forget to like, leave a comment on how you feel about the characters in each stories. Share to loved ones, as it helps the channel to grow. Until then, we will meet again in our next story. Bye for now.